Hello, sir. Good afternoon. So, can we start?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we can definitely start.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the fourth day of our ocean literacy course. Ocean Literacy Know Your Planet Beyond Land. So, as mentioned yesterday, today we'll be moving further with our course and be focusing on the fundamental and cross cutting theme, that is, concept of sustainability. So we know sustainability is at the heart of the ocean literacy. It guides how we balance environmental protection, the social well being, and the economic development. In this context of ocean, it helps us to understand how our choices towards which are made today will impact the marine ecosystem, the coastal communities, and the future generations. So once again, we have with us Dr. Ram Butsa, who will be explaining us in detail on the concepts of sustainability today. So without further ado, I'll request Ram sir to start with this session.
Thank you very much, Sneha. And I will straightway go to the PowerPoint presentation so that we start. So, can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir. Go full screen.
Okay. Let me. Mm. So, concepts of sustainability, and we will be talking about general concepts, what sustainability means, its a history, ocean sustainability, and various complexities. So, sustainability, a path to a resilient future. Historically, it was 1972, the first conference on human environment that was held under the auspices of United Nations in Stockholm, Swedish capital. And this conference is very important, milestone in environment movement globally. And India's Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was the only foreign leader at the rank of the head of the state who participated, and she delivered the keynote address. And her address became very famous. Poverty is the worst polluter. That's what she said. While developed countries, environmental problems are because of overdevelopment and its consequences, negative consequences of overdevelopment. But she articulated that developing countries, their environmental problem is related to poverty and exploitation of resources, whatever they have. So that was a huge uh, environment versus development debate, and whole conference for almost a week could not agree to whether we should pursue environment and development together, or like developing world was willing that we should be allowed to develop first. Then we will take care of the environment. But finally, Stockholm Declaration was agreed, and a new term, environmentally compatible development. That means environment and development should go together. Eco development, that was agreed upon, and World Commission was set up, which is called as World Commission on Environment and Development. This was under the chairmanship of the Gro Harlem Brundtland, and she was the Canadian Prime Minister. And at that time, this uh, environment development, this commission took every stance of those controversies and finally came up with the term sustainable development. And this was the origin. This book, Our Common Future, it was published in 1987. And based on that, United Nations Conference on Environment and Development was held in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, 20 years after the Stockholm. And this was very important. This is also called as Earth Summit, first Earth Summit. And for the first time, both environment and development issues were on the agenda of this Earth Summit. And the document which was agreed upon during this whole summit, that was very futuristic, and it was named as Agenda 21 because world was entering into 21st century, and world leaders felt that we must prepare an agenda to be implemented by all the countries, and that was Agenda 21. And it has a lot of, it was a vision document, but based on that agenda, Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, 8 goals, uh, which included social, economic, and environmental factors. But environment was the last goal, the goal 8, environmental sustainability. And in 2002, when World Summit on Sustainable Development was held, definitely this was very watershed because it was the first in the new century, a new millennium. And it was a summit on not an environment, but on sustainability, sustainable development. And Johannesburg Declaration basically focused on social issues, poverty, gender, health, food, energy. But most important was that because it was held for the first time in Africa, so Africa is still, it was one of the poorest regions in the world. So poverty alleviation was on top of the agenda. And that is why this summit reiterated the Millennium Development Goals to be achieved by 2015. And a lot of things were discussed meanwhile. And the second Earth Summit was again held in Rio in 2012. And here, in fact, it was discussed that Millennium Development Goals will expire in 2015, and there have been mixed progress. On certain areas, there was good progress, and on certain area there were little progress. So it was thought to have a much more broader goals and targets, and that is why in 2015 sustainable development goals, which is basically the uh, you can say magna carta of sustainability, 17 goals and 169 targets. They were unanimously agreed by all the countries of the world, and these were the goals to be achieved by 2030. So I will discuss about it in later slides, what is the progress till now. And in 2015 also, there was a momentum for climate change, and Paris Agreement was agreed upon. Another parallel event, Stockholm was in 1972, but in 70, basically US, there was a huge mobilization and millions joined Earth Day observations across the nation. And it was the youth movement, and it was not the government, it were two senators who promoted this. And from that day, Earth Day is observed every year on 20th April, 22nd April. So, all these historical background, this is the progress you can just see. After 10 years of Rio, 2.7% coral reef seriously threatened, up from 10%, 27%. So 2.8 billion still living on $2 per day. That's below poverty line. 1.1 billion back lack clean water. That was again one of the goals. Species extinctions on the rise. Around a million species are facing extinction. And 6 million children died from hunger in 10 years. Growing gap between rich and poor. Greenhouse gas emissions up by 9%. So these are some of the uh, indicators which uh, show a declining trend, that we have not been able to stop the degradation of environment or ensure sustainable development. There is another very important, we talk about sustainability, this planetary boundaries concept. This was uh, basically proposed by Stockholm Environment Institute by a group of scientists led by Rockstrom. And in 2009, there were 7 boundaries. These boundaries are basically elements of the planet which need to be respected, not to be exploited to the extent that they become degraded. So 2009, out of 7 boundaries that were assessed, 3 were already crossed. 2015, 4 were crossed. 2023, there were 9 boundaries assessed, 6 crossed, and this year 7 boundaries have been crossed. You can just see the boundaries that has been crossed include climate change, biosphere integrity, land system change, freshwater change, and biogeochemical flows. So ocean acidification, you can just see here just a thin yellow line, but it is also means these are stratospheric ozone is the only good point, that because of Montreal Protocol, world could arrest the rather close the ozone hole, and atmosphere ozone, this aerosol loading. But oceans is another area where means you can say this the out of nine, this seventh boundary which has been crossed. What is sustainability? This our common future, as I said, the World Commission on Environment and Development, that defined sustainability as the development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So this is a widely accepted definition, but this sustainability tool explains the three pillars: economic, environmental, and social. And basically, combined by the cultural principles, they together form the sustainability. So, economy, environment, and society, these are the triple challenge: balancing economic needs, environmental protection, and social well-being. This is what sustainability means. Economy gathering pace over the past 50 years. Ocean economy is now estimated to be worth approximately US dollar 1.5 trillion. This could increase to US dollar 3 trillion by 2030. Key sectors: offshore wind, marine aquaculture, and fish processing. So this is what blue economy. Environment: ocean acidity has increased by 30% since the Industrial Revolution. This is another boundary which is about to be crossed. Plastic pollution is estimated to kill 100,000 marine mammals annually. Society: over 680 million people live in low lying coastal zones, highly vulnerable to sea level rise. And this is what Agenda 2030 Sustainable Development Goals, and they are based on these five critical components: people, uh, those goals related to poverty, hunger, dignity, and equality. These are connected with the people. Then prosperity, the economic goal: ensure prosperous and fulfilling lives in harmony with nature. Then planet, that is green goals, environmental goals: protect our planet, natural resources, and climate for future generations. And then there is peace, faster, peaceful, just, and inclusive societies. Without peace, we cannot become sustainable. Partnerships: implement the agenda through a solid global partnership, because without partnership, you cannot get resources to implement the agenda. These are the subdivisions. Goals 1 to 5 are unfinished business of Millennium Development Goals. These are related to poverty, gender, water, sanitation, education. Uh, these are some of the MDGs which were not finished. 6 to 11 are new areas like water, energy, economic growth, industry, inequality, urbanization. 12 to 15, green agenda. These include energy, climate change, oceans, and biodiversity, the life on land. 16 goal is governance goal. 17 is means of implementation and partnership. Climate action is goal 13, tackling the triple planetary crisis. If we consider climate change, this is number one crisis. Climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution, these are the triple planetary crisis. And climate stability, living in harmony with nature towards a pollution-free planet. And This is again very interesting. World Economic Forum, every year they come up with global risk report, and in the short term, you can just see uh, mm, this extreme weather events. There are global risk, misinformation and disinformation, social polarization, cyber insecurity. But these are very, very important. But over the long period, all the top four risks are environmental, extreme weather event, critical change on Earth system, biodiversity loss, and ecosystem collapse, and natural resource shortages. So this is very important. This year, UN did a stock take of SDGs about the progress, and it concluded that only 35% of SDG target are on track or making modest gains. Nearly half are progressing too slowly, and 18% are actually regressing. Over 800 million people still live in extreme poverty and hunger. Billions live without safe drinking water and sanitation. Climate records are being shattered, with 2024 the hottest year in history, and 2025 is also following the track. Carbon dioxide levels are the highest in over 2 million years. Access to electricity has reached 92%. That is good sign. 92% of the global population, while internet use jumped from 40% in 2015 to 68% in 2024. Local conservation efforts have helped double protection for vital ecosystem. These are two the bright spots. This is SDG ranking, and India is much behind. It's at 120th place. And these are some of the countries. Even China is 57th, and US is much below, 32. Planetary crisis. Today, the Earth is facing a triple planetary crisis of climate change, climate disruption, nature and biodiversity loss, pollution and waste. This triple crisis is threatening the well being and survival of millions of people around the world. Let us make sure our leaders bring the ambition and action needed to address the triple planetary crisis because so we are using 1.6 Earths to maintain current way of life. 1 million of the world's estimated 8 million species are threatened with extinction. Global food system is the primary driver of biodiversity loss, with agriculture alone pose 24,000 of the 28,000 species at risk of agricultural expansion is set to account for 70% of the projected loss of terrestrial biodiversity. This is the triple planetary crisis. And of course, currently climate change is threat number 3 to biodiversity, but is projected to outpace all other threats. These are some of the primary drivers of biodiversity loss. And you can just see uh, it's demographic and socio-cultural, economic and technological institutions and governance, and conflicts and epidemics. And these are some of the factors which drive the biodiversity loss. This whole is has done some detailed analysis, and among this crisis, climate change, and inconvenient truth, as I also said in my earlier lecture, that former US President Albert Gore shared Nobel Prize 2007 with Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, led by Rajendra Pachauri of India, for their efforts to build up and disseminate greater knowledge about man-made climate change and to lay the foundations for the measures that are needed to counteract such change. And an inconvenient truth, that is the docu-film which Al Gore made, that makes the compelling case that global warming is real, man-made, and its effects will be cataclysmic. If we do not act now, Gore presents a wide array of facts and information on a thoughtful and compelling way, often humorous, frequently emotional, and always fascinating. In the end, an inconvenient truth accomplishes what all great films should. It leaves the viewers shaken, involved, and inspired. This was the Oscar-winning film, and here in this speak, I had the good fortune of meeting Al Gore uh, in a training program which we both of us took the sessions on climate leaders training. And SDG 14, as I said earlier, is about the life below water. That means basically ocean. And its main agenda was to protect the oceans and create marine protected areas, MPAs. But IUCN analyzed that by 2020, only 1.2% of the ocean was protected in fully or highly protected MPAs. And the target was to this biodiversity 2020 target was to have at least 10% of the areas protected, but only 1.2% we had in 2020. That is why post 2020 agreement uh, mandated countries to have this BBNJ, is not triple B, only double B, NJ, biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction, because you have exclusive economic zone, but most of the biodiversity is beyond that. And that is why once this initiative began, then naturally this 30-30 initiative is gaining momentum. Another very important initiative is Global Ghost Gear Initiative, and is a cross-stakeholder alliance of fishing industry, private sector NGOs, academia, and governments focused on solving the problem of lost and abandoned fishing gear worldwide. UNEP's Clean Seas campaign, this also promotes the right to a healthy environment, including plastic-free oceans. So these are some of the initiatives at focusing on SDG 14, and adopted in 2015 as an integral aspect of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. That already I said, Goal 14 is guided by specific targets that focus on an array of ocean issues, including reducing marine pollution, protecting marine and coastal ecosystems, minimizing acidification, ending illegal and overfishing, increasing investment in scientific knowledge and marine technology, and respecting international law that calls for the safe and sustainable use of ocean and its resources. And these are some of the um, economic models, what we call as blue economy. You can just see the that traditional model, if we apply which is basically an exploitative model, then this has led close to 90% of the world's marine fish stocks fully exploited, overexploited, or depleted. Half of the fish stocks off the West African coast, for example, are over harvested. Many developed countries are spending tons of billions of dollars in subsidies and other support measures for their fishing enterprises. Many of these directly contribute to overfishing. Example, the North Atlantic cod fishery collapsed in the 90s due to overfishing. And that is why this blue economy and aquaculture is being promoted. Norway's salmon aquaculture industry has adopted strict environmental regulations, contributing to its economic success. And another model is connected to this is the circular economy. Annually, 8.3 million tons of mismanaged plastic waste enter oceans. So, if we adopt circular economy models, then definitely plastic can be reused and recycled rather than thrown away in the oceans. So these are some of the graphics which explain this. Among the challenges, marine heat waves have doubled in frequency and have become longer lasting, more intense and extensive. You can see level rise more than doubled over the last 3 decades. You can just see the graphic. Coral reefs and 70 to 90% of coral reef will vanish if temperature rise beyond 1.5, and 99% of coral reefs will vanish if temperature goes beyond 2 degrees, which is very likely. Here are some opportunities. Remote sensing, satellites and drones equipped with advanced sensors are crucial for large-scale monitoring through data collection, sea surface temperature, ocean currents, chlorophyll levels, detect plastic debris, bioacoustic monitoring, listening to the sounds of the ocean. Scientists can monitor marine life, assess biodiversity, and detect human-made noise pollution. AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, AI algorithms analyze vast databases from remote sensing, acoustic monitoring, and oceanographic instruments to identify patterns, predict future trends, and automate species identification. Environmental DNA, eDNA, analyzing DNA fragments present in water samples allows scientists to identify species that have recently been in the area. This non-invasive method provides a quick and efficient way to monitor biodiversity and track invasive species. These are some of the modern tools for assessing and monitoring marine biodiversity and resources. Plastic, in fact, I discussed in earlier talk as well, it's everywhere. Trash and overcrowding at the top of the world, that is Mount Everest. In 1953, these Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay, first humans reached summit Everest, and Sagarmatha National Park, which is called in Nepal as in 1976, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage in 79, and park receives around 1 lakh visitors peak season, 500 people per day. So it has a lot of trash is there, and plastic pollutions threat to oceans. 3% of annual plastic waste enters oceans, equivalent to 8 million tons, destroys marine ecosystem, marine species, ability to sequester carbon, abandoned, lost, or discarded fishing gear, nets, lines, ropes, and traps used to catch 2.3 trillion fish and other aquatic animals. Already discussed this Great Pacific Garbage Patch, also known as Pacific Trash Vortex, spans water from the west coast to North America to Japan. The National Ocean and Atmospheric Administration's Marine Debris Program has estimated that it would take 67 ships 1 year to clean up less than 1% of the North Pacific Ocean. Can you just um, guess the quantity, 67 ships for the whole year, and just one person clean up. So it will take hundreds of years to clean up. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is not the only marine trash waters, it's just the biggest. Atlantic and Indian Oceans both have trash vortexes. Even shipping routes in smaller bodies of water, such as North Sea, are developing garbage patches. Ocean sustainability, if we talk, they absorb 23% of human caused CO2 emissions. These CO2 emissions have built up beyond the ocean's capacity to absorb this forming carbonic acid, increasing the acidity of ocean waters. A warmer and more acidic ocean poses a very real threat to marine life and delicate ecosystems. With current projections that the ocean could warm up by up to an additional 5 degrees by 2100 if no mitigating action is taken. Ocean warming directly linked to the extinction and displacement of species, impacting some critical ecosystems such as coral reefs, leading to a greater risk of ecosystem collapse. The current rate of ocean acidification is 10 times faster than it ever was at any other period during the preceding 55 million years. The combined impacts of a warming climate and warming ocean could together contribute to sea level rise up to 25 centimeter by 2040-50, decimating low-lying coastal regions and habitats around the world. Urgent action is needed to reverse and mitigate negative impacts. There's several efforts. World Ocean Day every year on June 8th. This One Planet Summit that was held in 2022, and the Brest commitments for the oceans, High Ambition Coalition for Nature and People, launched at the One Planet Summit in January 2021, aim to protect 30% of the world's land and sea by 2030. This is what called as 30-30 ambition. High Ambition Coalition on Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction. New Plastic Economy Global Commitment, led by Ellen MacArthur Foundation and UNEP. India and France together launched initiative on the elimination of single-use plastic. UNESCO pledged to ensure at least 80% of the seabed is mapped by 2030. So these are very large commitments. And 8 June, World Ocean Day, is celebrated every year. Lot of places, lot of celebrations. Awareness campaigns are held all around the world. There are several international collaboration for ocean conservation. CBD is one. Then regional fisheries management organizations, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas in clause, very important. International Maritime Organization IMO. Then there are several effective community-based management initiatives, locally managed marine areas, community-based fisheries management, ecotourism, sustainable livelihoods, citizen science initiative. There are several. Even TAIR policy centers, community-based initiatives for the marine areas, particularly the mangroves, is very important. UN Ocean Conference that was held in 2022, and this year also it was held in Nice. I discussed about it earlier, but this one, this Portuguese one, was Save Our Ocean, Protect for Future, and overarching theme was scaling up ocean action based on science and innovation for the implementation of Goal 14, stock taking, partnership, and solutions. And focus was on solutions. Review of 10 ocean-related SDG targets to be achieved by 2030. A blueprint for a fairer future for people and the planet. Prevent and reduce pollution and acidification. Protect ecosystem. Regulate fisheries and increase scientific knowledge. This is again the ocean decade, and of course, this is being celebrated 2021 to 2030 Ocean Science for Sustainable Development. But there were several other initiatives. Universal Declaration of Ocean Rights as a concept of a global formalization of the rights of the ocean had been presented to the United Nations in 2023 for joint agreement by the governments of the world. It's a kind of symbolic that ocean rights must be protected like human rights. The rights of nature movement and the inclusion of eco-centric language is embedded in several international frameworks, such as the CBD, Convention on Biodiversity, post 2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, as well as in the IUCN. So the rights to nature movement is also, and particularly this rather than anthropocentric approach, everything centered along the human beings, it's an ecocentric approach, what is being promoted by these initiatives. This decade, and it's basically to enhance or promote ocean science for sustainable development. And CBD, as already said, around 1 million species are threatened with extinction, and uh, populations of most major animal groups have declined by an average of 69%. COP15, which was also called as post 2020 Global Biodiversity Framework, is again like Paris Agreement. So Paris Agreement for climate change, but this agreement is for biodiversity, with nearly 2 dozen targets, commitments to conserve at least 30% of Earth's land and water by 2030. Target is referred to as 30 by 30. But question is who will pay for all that? That is again being, because there are no finances coming up. So 30 into 30 target. By 2030, we must ensure that at least 30% of areas of particular importance for biodiversity and its contribution to people are conserved through effectively and equitably managed system. The protection and restoration of marine ecosystems are also part of the proposals, ensuring that 20% of marine ecosystems show evidence of restoration by 2030 and a reduction of at least 50% of anthropogenic pollution by 2030. So this is all very important, and this was agreed in COP 2030. What ocean sustainability means for business. This is again a white paper in 2022 by World Economic Forum. Uh, Gist is that sustainable solutions for the world's ocean revolve around three key pillars: protecting and conserving species, managing ocean sustainability, and restoring the ocean for climate adaptation. And then there is a zero coalition of approximately 200 industry stakeholders from across the shipping and energy value chain for zero emission value vessels operating along deep sea trade routes by 2030. This is a commitment towards net zero. Then marine protected areas, a key tool to protect ocean assets and ecosystems, 30 by 30, a global movement that advocates for the protection of at least 30% of ocean by 2030, while only an estimated 3% of global plastic waste enters the ocean. Plastic waste makes up 80% of all marine pollution, with 8 to 10 million metric tons ending up in the ocean every year. Ocean absorbs 93% of excess heat due to climate change, impacting habitats and disrupting the sensitive natural balance. This is another very important this report, Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem. It came up with its report in 2019, and most comprehensive report, first major international appraisal of biodiversity since Millennium Ecosystem Assessment in 2005. So humans driving vulnerable species to extinction, agriculture, these are some of the threats which And this picture is of passenger pigeon, which is extinct no more because it used to be a pigeon species which used to carry the posts from one part of the world to the other. So, but they are no more now, these pigeons. Similarly, the golden toad, this has already been extinct because of the climate change. And uh, the sixth assessment report calls as a code red for humanity that we have very little time, brief and rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all. Devastating fires in Australia, Europe, Russia, US record shattering heat wave in northwestern America, and extreme and deadly floods in Pakistan, Germany, and China. So a lot of COPs has had, and there is also this Lancet, which is one of the very prestigious medical journals, and they have, and along with the 200 medical journals, have called climate change the greatest threat to global public health. And this was the, as I mentioned, Paris Agreement, and when US signed, US Secretary of State, it's a foreign minister, John Kerry, holds his granddaughter as he signs the Paris Climate Agreement, symbolizing that this agreement is for the future generations. India's Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar, we should not make haste because Paris Agreement is to be implemented post 2020. There is much time for ratification, and all countries should be allowed to follow their national processes. Prakash Javadekar. Climate action. Decades of delay have denied the world any hope of an easy and gradual transition to a more sustainable world. This is what IPCC report says. And oceans are the key to climate solution. Now only deep, rapid, and immediate efforts across all aspects of society, combined with the still unproven technologies to pull carbon from the atmosphere, will be able to stave off the catastrophe. Again, this net zero has become the buzzword, and to live within planetary boundaries, we cannot emit more than what our planet can absorb through global and national sinks. Living within assimilative capacity of the planet need to massively transform our lifestyle and development paradigm. COP26 urged all governments to set their net zero targets, NDC, to be achieved preferably by 2050. And this is again an aspirational idea, and let us see how we fare next few years. Will we get to net zero fast enough? These are the targets, and only 11% countries, only this till December 2030, very few countries which have basically included in their plans the net zero. Of course, if we cover all the commitments, then basically 89% emissions will be by 2050 we will remove. But just see China 28%, which is the highest polluter. US 14%, next India third 7%, but European Union is also 7%. Other countries are 33% together, and countries with no net zero target are 11%, including the US. India's climate ambition is very, very interesting. Prime Minister has unveiled it and is called as Panchamrit. Will put India on accelerated track that non-fossil fuel-based energy, renewables 500 gigawatt by 2030, meet 50% of energy requirement from renewables by 2030, reducing projected carbon emission by a billion tons, reducing carbon intensity to below 45% until 2030, and net zero by 2070. These are the five commitments that India has planned by 2030. Then there is another set of five commitments, which is one sun, one world, one grid. This is all for the world, and this is under International Solar Alliance. Resilient infrastructure for small island developing states. That is another one. Global hub for green hydrogen under National Hydrogen Mission. Sustainable lifestyle or lifestyle for environment is another one. India requested developed countries to raise their ambitions for climate finance and technology. Life is one of the major initiatives which India has proposed as a climate change adaptation mechanism for the world. Agni Tattva Energy for Life campaign to create awareness of the core concept of Agni Tattva, an element that is synonymous with energy and is amongst the five elements of Pancham Mahabhuta. The Pancha Mahabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, space, Akas. So this is in one of the COPs where we were in a panel discussion on life organized by Government of India. And another thing is these basically life themes. There are 7 themes, and these are reduce waste, save energy, save water, say no to single-use plastic, adopt sustainable food system, adopt healthy lifestyles, and reduce e-waste. So these are 7 themes. But most important is this parampara, the traditional knowledge system or the habits lifestyle, which India is very, very climate and eco-friendly. That is being promoted. Again, another one is the 7 Saptarshis, Saptarishis for green growth. India PM's vision for life or lifestyle for environment to spur a movement of environmentally conscious lifestyle. So these 7 green elements are targeted focus on net zero incentivization and support, promoting green hydrogen, electric vehicles, PM Pranam scheme, and promoting natural farming for 1 crore farmers, green credit program to encourage behavioral change to incentivize environmentally sustainable and responsive actions by companies, individual and local bodies to help mobilize additional resources, mangrove initiative, Mishti Amrit Dharohar for wetlands, and Govardhan from waste to wealth. So there are a few solutions on plastic pollution, and 4 are reduce, reuse, recycle, recover, and but very few. This is recycled. These are some of the practices, and air carbon is sustainable plastic for the future, and this is being developed. Then vegetable, this vegan bottles are being, a lot of such alternatives are being developed, which are vegan, organic, and degradable. So these are some of the ways, following the life principle. We can eat right, take extinction off your plate, water wisdom, every drop counts, think twice before shopping, reduce, reuse, recycle. In shopping also, you must be very, very eco-friendly, go plastic free. Then ESG for the companies, 1,000 listed companies, they have to mandatorily submit environment, social, and governance report as per the SEBI guidelines. Then circular economy, there are a lot of regulations in India which is being followed. Then EPR is a very, very important, where extended producer responsibility. It's the responsibility of the producers to uh, like not only up to the production level, but till it's the end of the life of a product. So this is being implemented in many industries. Corporate social responsibility is another very, very important initiative. 2% of the profit of the companies has to go to the CSR, nature-based solutions. These are very, very important. World Ocean Network, I think we are working on together with the and on the Ocean Day, many, many celebrations. Youth Parliament. Last year, I was in France in one of the parliaments. World Ocean Passport has been developed by the World Ocean Network. And then finally, voices from youth. These are some of the youth. Greta Thunberg, you all must be knowing, environmental campaigner and educator. Then Amy Lucas, she is promoting sustainability, vegan impact lifestyle, blue oily sustainable lifestyle and behavioral change. These are some of the, and India's own Lysipriya, Vanesha, all these, they are voices from youth, and we need more such voices. And thanks. And this is what I wanted today. So, any
Thank you
questions,
so much, sir.
comments?
If any of y'all have questions, you all can please unmute yourself and go ahead. Either y'all can raise your hand or put it up in the chat as well.
काही रे माझं हे माईकच बंदच आहे मला सिस्टम हो
So I think this was very clear to everyone. So in that case, if there are no questions, we can close for the day, because I have another very important meeting at 4 o'clock. So that's why I was a bit in a hurry. But I hope everybody understood it well, because sustainability is now a buzzword. Everybody must know. So you all must be knowing it was just a kind of repetition or reiteration of some of the concepts and developments.
Yes.
Hi, Vinita, finally.
Yeah, I just came to office. Was out somewhere for some hustle bustle as usual.
Uh,
How are you?
yes, I'm good. Delhi is uh, breaking all the records of pollution, and of course, there is heavy smog
Mm,
almost for the whole day. I will be leaving tomorrow for Lucknow, slightly better from here.
I know. But you can shift to Pune then.
Yes, definitely, I will be from in the new year, anytime.
Yes, yes. We will decide and you are
Yes,
welcome for
yes,
that.
sure, definitely. So thank you, most welcome. This is
Yes. Okay. So see you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Bye.
Everyone. Our tomorrow's session is on the living ocean, understanding marine biodiversity and our role in its future, which will be conducted by Dr. Suprava Patnaik. So the link for tomorrow's session will be posted to you all tomorrow in the morning itself. To see you all tomorrow. Thank you everyone for joining.
चिप्स का आधी हे खाते 4:30ला चहा पिन तेव्हा खाते